Okay, this is a little bit of a testimony from us regarding a walk that we do quite often because we look after dogs, we board dogs and have a daycare business. And we've got these certain walks that we do because it's safe for the animals. And there's this one particular one that a friend of ours took us on, and it's called Little Ballow. And the first time we went there, he was actually explaining to us that it used to be an old pagan worship site, so goodness knows what abominations went on there. But the first time we went there, it was really gloomy, dark. It was really quite unnerving, and we were both checking behind ourselves because it felt like somebody was, or something was walking behind us, and it was just a really dark place, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, didn't really like to be there on your own, or just a horrible feeling.
Yeah. And it looked quite desolate as well, you know, like but it was a good place to take the dogs. They were safe there, they were secure, you could have them off lead, they could run around, there was, you know, lots of wildlife, deer,
yep,
rabbits, things for them to sniff and chase and just generally have a good time. And there was actually a little pond I eventually discovered that I could take them swimming as well. So it was kind of cool, but it was a bit unsettling, a bit unnerving. And at this point we were in a church, Christian church, so we started praying over that walk. We would pray that Yah would take the land back, that he would purge the evil from out of it, that you know, we'd pray for all sorts up there. And I was up there a lot on my own when I was walking the dogs, and it was a favourite place for me to pray, and I prayed lots of times. Pretty much every time I was up there, there was at least a 10 or 15 minute prayer that was going on, and there was a number of things that happened there. One time when we started praying over it, we arrived there one day, right? And what was there?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a dead bird lying on its back with its feet up, so it's obviously it was placed there, you know, so...
Yeah, it was on the gatepost.
On the gatepost.
On the top of the gatepost, yeah.
Lots of weird and horrible stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as we progressed and prayed over that walk, it completely transformed. It started sprouting flowers. It started, you know, it was just beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And the whole mood of that place completely changed. You were quite happy walking there on your own. You felt really secure. It was just a beautiful, lovely walk. Yeah, we were saying about the walk changing, and when we first walked there, there wasn't many people. You would rarely bump into someone, and it started to gain popularity, didn't
it? Yeah, which you prayed for. And then you'd meet people there, and they would say things like, oh, you know, I don't know what it is about this walk. There's something about it. just like being here, and it got busier and busier, and everybody that we spoke to would say exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
They couldn't put their finger on what made them feel like this, but the place made them feel good, and so they were drawn to that place, to that walk.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I had been praying that people would meet God there, that God would make them think about Him and seek Him.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be the reaction of complete strangers that we'd bump into and just have a bit of a chat to, a bit of a blather. On one occasion, I got to this particular place. We were both together that day, and we got to this particular place, and there's trees either side, some older ones on one side and some younger on the other. And I used to pray at that spot quite a lot. I was in a deliverance ministry at the time, and I was praying for that spot to be a jump-off point for angels to attack evil in the city and more the fool me. But I did get, it lasted maybe 10, 15 seconds, but I stopped at that place, and all of a sudden the place was exactly as we remembered it. There was nobody there, and all of a sudden there was angels standing in the trees, not that far away from us, but it didn't feel threatening either. They were just stood there looking at us, and they were on both sides, and it was just me that saw this. And like I said, it lasted about 10, 15 seconds, and then as I was sort of, it seemed like a lifetime to be honest, but they were standing on either side of us in a sort of non-threatening manner, and then it went back to just being the trees again, which was quite a shock. I've got a little bit of video of the actual area there, so I'll put that in. So this is the area where the angels were standing, in amongst all these older trees here. And then across the other side, and all those younger trees, they were just standing right at the edge of them and looking at us. The other main thing that happened was we just started the walk, and I had delayed. I was picking up some dog poo, and my wife went forward, and we noticed this guy coming through the trees from on the path with a little dog, and the sun was behind him, and it honestly looked angelic. It was quite a breathtaking sight. And we stopped to speak to him, or rather, he stopped to speak to us. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, just the way with the sun, and just the way that he came over the little hill, it was just like he looked like he was really, really tall. He was tall, but just that whole scene, that his height was kind of magnified. But anyway, so I got to him, and he had just mentioned what I can remember, that he hadn't been here before. I think he had said that he had come from Edinburgh, and he just came out to check the walk out. But there was just something about him, super kind, super nice, just was so interested in what we had to say. I just wanted to keep talking to him, and tell him things, and there was a calmness about him, completely calm, and his dog. It was just such a moment, and I suppose it's really hard to put across the feeling of it. From the actual time, but it just seemed like somebody I've never quite seen before. You know, like perfection, but in a normal guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I kind of chatted to him for a few more seconds, and then
yeah, yeah, I was completely transfixed by this guy. Like, I was hanging on every word that was coming out of his mouth, and he wasn't saying anything in particular. It was just these, like you were saying, his the kindness and the humility and yeah, there was just something else going on there.
And we felt calm.
And we felt calm
the
as
dogs
well.
that we had, everything was just calm.
Everything went calm.
You know,
everything.
Sometimes you meet other dogs with other dogs, it can just be a bit of mayhem sometimes, but
yeah, it can.
the whole scene, the whole thing was just
completely
peaceful and calm.
And we were saying our goodbyes, and he did the strangest thing. He reached out with one finger and he touched me on the arm as he said goodbye, like that. And I barely felt him touch me. Barely felt it. And I thought for a second, that's a bit weird. Mm-hmm. And I took about 3 steps and he was off the other direction, and we were going to continue with the walk. And I took about 3 steps and I had the most intense rush of goosebumps that I've ever experienced. And it came in wave after wave. My voice was shaky. It was just, I can't describe it. I really can't describe it. Goosebumps is putting it mildly. I was actually vibrating. I was shaking. And that went on for the whole walk. Mm-hmm. The guy never looked. I turned to see the guy and he never looked back. He just kept walking. And then he was out of sight, of course. But I was wave after wave of these goosebumps. And we walked for about an hour with the dogs that we had with us. And it just kept coming. It kept coming and it kept coming. And it didn't calm down until we got back to the car and got in the car and drove away from that place. And it was just an amazing experience. When we got home, we had this flip chart, which was like a daily scriptures. And I wasn't religious about it, and turning every day and reading the scripture. I don't think I'd actually looked at it for a few weeks. Mm-hmm. And I was prompted to flip to the correct day, to that day. And the scripture was Hebrews 13:2, and I'm just going to read it to you. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. And that completely blew me. I'm getting goosebumps now just talking about it. That completely blew me away. Completely and utterly. And when I think back to that guy, I have a really vivid memory of him. Of his calmness, of how ordinary he looked. Although he was tall, he was taller than me. And I'm like 6 feet, and he was a tall, slim guy. It was just an amazing experience. And, my wife and I just wanted to share that with you. And I hope it blesses you. Praise Jehovah. And his son, Yeshua, Messiah. So this is the area that we actually spoke to the guy. Stood here speaking to him. And then this is where he came through the trees with the sun behind them. It was quite a magnificent sight. Experience I won't forget.